Hello everyone, welcome to chemistry class. Here we are discussing the role of chemistry in our modern lives. Until the previous video we have covered the role of chemistry in the manufacturing of the plant fibers. Like we have seen about how cotton is produced or how it is produced from the plants that we have seen. Before that we have discussed other roles of chemistry in soaps and detergents, in medicine industry, in agriculture. That all we have seen. If you want to go through those topics, you can refer to the previous videos. Let us start with the today's topic, that is animal fibers. Yes, there are two names that you can see on the screen. These are the animal fibers, silk and the wool. These are the common animal fibers. Out of this silk is obtained from silkworms. Please mark this in your textbook for your revision time. It will be helpful. And same way, wool is obtained from hairy animals like sheep, camels, and yaks. So both of these sources you should be knowing. Silk is obtained from silkworm, and wool is obtained from the hairy animals like sheep, camels, and yaks. First, we'll talk about the silk in detail. So, about around 4,500 years ago, the Chinese people were the first to discover silk. And actually, they discovered an insect called as the silk moth. This is the Himalayan silk moth. What it will do? This Himalayan silk moth, it's female, lays about 200 to 500 eggs and die. The eggs are then preserved, and then from these eggs only, what will happen? The eggs will produce the worms. The worms come out when the eggs hatch, and these are fed on the mulberry leaves. See, mulberry leaves are serving as a food item for the silk moth or for the worms of the silk moth. These worms only, they are when they are fully grown, when they mature, what will happen? They will build their own protective covering, and that covering is called as cocoon. Yes, this cocoon is made of what? It is made up of a thread-like substance which is formed by the worm's secretion. Cocoon is made by the hardening of the worm's secretion. So finally, what will happen? Finally, when the worm will become more mature, it will convert itself into a moth. The worm becomes a moth. First of all, the egg is there, egg releases a worm changes into a moth. And now the cocoon is kept in hot air so that the moth that is inside this cocoon, it is killed. And if the moth comes outside, then the cocoon will be damaged. Then that cocoon will not be useful to us. So the cocoon that was made by the worm, it is kept in the hot air so that whatever moth is inside that will die. And as a result, what will happen? We will use that cocoon or the threads that are this cocoon is made up of. Those threads only are the silk filaments. These are what we are using to produce the silk clothes. So silk filament that we get from a single cocoon is around 600 to 800 meters long. So here you can see some photographs. This is a silk moth, and downside you can see the eggs are there. So silk moth is there, and also the eggs are there. In this photo you can see. Second photograph you can see, these are the silkworm. They are feeding on the mulberry leaves. These leaves you can see, they are all mulberry. Mulberry leaves are there. So mulberry is a plant only, and it is the site where silkworms are growing. In this photo also you can see the silkworm has started spinning its cocoon. So this is, here you can see. In the second B part photo you can see silkworms are provided with a straw on which they can spin their cocoons. So these two photos you can see. So this is done in the process of manufacturing of silk only. In this one last photograph you can see silk thread is made from the cocoons. Downside you can see all these are cocoons only, and upside you can see some fibers are there. These fibers are only silk. All these are silk, the threads of silk only. So that is all about the process. We will see some more things. So finally what we have seen, just in a very short manner I will tell you, silkworm lays the eggs. From the eggs worms are released. Worms are maturing themselves into a moth. These worms only, or the moth only, they are making cocoons. Cocoons are made of thread-like structure only, and from this cocoon only what we will get? From the cocoon we will get silk fiber. This moth has to be killed. If the moth is not killed, then silk fiber cannot be obtained from a cocoon. So when the moth is inside the cocoon, then what we are doing? We are keeping the cocoon in hot, dry air. In the hot air, the moth will die, and then we can use the thread or the silk fibers for manufacturing of the clothes. How we can convert these silk threads into fiber now? So twisting the fibers of the into the silk thread, it is called as throwing, and those engaged into this work, those who are doing this work, converting the fibers into thread, they are called as throwsters. The process is throwing, and the person who is doing this process is called as throwsters. After being thrown, what has happened? After being thrown means we are not throwing something. Throwing is this thing only. We are converting the fiber into thread. So after we have converted the silk fiber into silk thread, what we'll do? We will bleach it. We will do the bleaching of the silk, then dyeing of the silk is done, and then finally it is woven into the cloth. All this process we have already seen. You can refer to the previous video when we talked about the process of manufacturing of the cotton textiles. There also bleaching is done, dyeing is done, weaving is done. All these things are same only, just the nature of the fiber is different, but the processes are all similar to each other. Now this thing is important, please mark it in your book, the important kind of the silk. So there are certain varieties of silk clothes. First is eri, next is mulberry silk, then tussar silk, and then muga silk. All these are different kind of the silk. They depend upon the type of the moth, which type of moth is producing the silk. So according to that, different kinds of the silk can be obtained. So that is all about the silk and its production we have seen. Another kind of the animal fiber that we will see now, it is wool. So let us read about it. Wool can be obtained from the hairy animals like the sheep, camel and yaks, and generally and most common one, the wool is obtained from sheep. Most commonly wool is obtained from sheep. So sheep of different breeds, they yield different amount of the wool. Some sheep varieties are there which produce a large amount of wool. Some are there which produce less. So the example is given here. For that we'll read this example now. For example, a native sheep, that native means which is belonging to our own country, that is native, local sheep. So a local sheep that is found in India, it will yield how much of the wool? It will yield around 0.25 kilograms to 2.8. 0.25 when we say, it is 250 grams. To another one number you can see, 2.8 kilograms. So that is the range, 250 grams to 2 kilograms, 800 grams, 2.8 kg. Till there we can get, this is the limit of wool we can get in 1 year from a single native sheep that is found in India. We can get 0.25 to 2.8 kilograms of wool in 1 year. If you compare this to an exotic breed, what is the meaning of exotic? Exotic means which is not in India, that is a foreign breed belonging to other country. So it is given in bracket also, that is from the another part of the world, that is called as exotic. Local means our own country, native, that is in India. Outside India breeds are called exotic, which are in the another part of the world. So exotic breed, they will yield up to 5.5 kilograms, almost double or more than double of the Indian varieties of the sheep. Same way the female of the sheep is used. In this you can see a native that is a female is crossed by an exotic ram, that is a male. And what will happen, the lamb that will be produced after 5 months, that will be a hybrid sheep. It will be a hybrid sheep, and it will give more wool than a native sheep. So what we can do, we can use our native and the exotic breed, one male and one female, and the resulting offspring that will come, the lamb that will produce, that will be a hybrid variety, and then that hybrid sheep will have more wool, will produce more wool than the native sheep. So that is the thing you have to take care. Breeders maintain a sheep farm. The people who are involved in this business of production of wool, they are called breeders. So breeders are maintaining a sheep farm where the sheep are kept in hygienic conditions. The rams, ewes and lambs are kept in different shades, and the shades are regularly cleaned and disinfected with lime and bleaching powder. Definitely disinfection is very important, otherwise the herd of the sheep or other animals may get several diseases or infections. So that is why disinfection and regular cleaning is very important. So what we are using for that, we are using chemicals like lime and bleaching powder is used there. So let us continue. Let us see the details regarding wool production now. We will read about the process of shearing. What is this shearing? Let us read. In India, sheep are generally shorn. Shorn is related to shearing only. That is, they are shorn twice a year, in spring and autumn. What is shearing? So shearing is the process in which just we are removing the hair. What is that? Woolen hair, the upper hair of the sheep, that is wool only. So when we are collecting wool from the body of the sheep, that is shearing. And twice a year, in the spring season and in autumn season, 2 times in a single year, we can get the wool from the single sheep. A couple of days before the shearing, animal is washed thoroughly, definitely, so that the dirt particles which are on the body of that sheep will be removed. Just to remove the dirt from the wool, we are doing this. Then the wool that is obtained after the cleaning and washing of the sheep, that is called as washed wool. The wool obtained from a neat and clean animal after being washed thoroughly with water, that is a washed wool. Then shearing is done how? It can be done using a pair of scissors. We can cut the hairs. Also we can use electrically driven shears. Also bad shearing will lower the price of the wool. It depends on the training of the person. The person who is doing this process of shearing, he must be an expert. If the person is not doing it properly, then proper amount of money will not be given in the market for that wool. It depends upon the way the shearing is done. So bad shearing will lower the price. That is why fleece has to be shorn only by a trained person. It is not like anyone will take scissor and start taking the wool. It is not like that. There is a proper method, a proper way in which the shearing has to be done. Otherwise you will get loss. The breeders will get the loss. So they are generally trained persons. They use different techniques that will not lead them into any monetary loss or economic loss. So this is done just by the trained persons only. Just also it is done at one go, in one time only. If the electrically driven machine or shears are there, in single go they will take all the hair. That is not done in the clumps. In a single go it is done. Also if there is any accidental cut, it may take place. If it is there, then they are using antiseptics like iodine solution can be used on the body of the sheep, because that sheep is injured. That injury has to be treated with the antibiotics, otherwise the infection chances are there. Then the fleece. After we have taken the fleece means what? The hairs of the sheep, that is the wool only. The fleece is then tied into bundles. What we will do after that, we will read in the next paragraph. For now we are having 2 definitions. Here please put a tick or put a mark in your book. The wool that is obtained from the live sheep, it is called as clipped wool. Live sheep means living sheep. That is a clipped wool. If we are taking the wool from the body of a dead sheep, then it is called as pulled wool. So we can ask this in exam. What is the difference between clipped wool and pulled wool? So then we ready to answer. Clipped wool is the wool that is obtained from the living or live sheep, and if the wool is obtained from the dead sheep, it is pulled wool. So these 2 things, please take a note. What is clipped wool and what is pulled wool? Okay, so we have taken the fleece from the body of the sheep, tied it into bundles. What else we will do now? Let us continue the process of manufacturing of wool. So we will read in this paragraph of fibers and fabrics. So the fleece is then combed, so that we are combing it so that if there are any burrs or any tiny knot, they will be removed. It is also a quality check. If there are less burrs, means less knots are there, then the fewer the burrs, will say, the better is the wool. If there are a lot of knots in that, if you are combing there, the comb will get stuck in that. So if there are fewer burrs, that means the quality of wool is that much better, and it will increase the cost of that wool. After the combing is done, what we will do, the fibers are untangled and drawn and straighten them and then twist it together to make the yarn. What we are doing, this is important thing. After the combing, the fibers of the wool are what? They are twisted together, and after twisting they will convert into the yarn. Then the yarn can be used for knitting, for being woven into the fabric. You can see in the market it is available in the shops, you can see, and you can take the woolen yarn. That yarn can be used for knitting the woolen clothes. Many people are knitting the woolen clothes at home. Sometimes people are not doing this knitting and all at home. They are purchasing the woolen items in the ready-made garment shop. So the yarn can be sent to that factories, and there it is woven into the fabric using the machines it is done. So the woolen fiber then can be bleached and dyed, and all before and after the spinning. Bleaching is important, and also dyeing is done just to give different colors to the wool. You can see different colors of the woolen clothes you are wearing. So the colors are just coming because the bleaching and dyeing is done there. So these three animals you can see: sheep, camel and yak. First photo is the sheep, second one you can see camel, and third one is yak. Yak is a mountainous animal. In mountainous regions you can find. In India you will find this in Ladakh region. So that is all. These three animals are the sources of wool. Let us talk about the quality of wool. How we can judge the quality of the wool. The process of manufacturing of wool is complete. The last point, the last part of this topic will be covering now. Quality of the wool of a given sample of the wool is just on the basis of these following points. 3 points are there. Let us see one by one. The first one: the thinner the fiber, the better is the wool. Yes, the fiber should be thinner. The more thinner it is, the better the wool it is. That's it. If it is thick, then the quality of wool is not that much good. Next, a wool of the superior quality or a better quality, it is more crimpy. It is not simply straight. It is crimpy. It is curly. Crimpy means curly. So inferior quality of the wool will be little bit straight, but the better quality wool will be curly in nature or crimpy in nature. The third and the last point: the fine wool has shorter fiber length. Long fibers are not there. Average fiber length is 4 to 12 centimeter. The medium quality of the wool will be having the medium length 6 to 17 centimeters, and the coarse variety means the lower grade variety, that is having the fiber length 10 to 30 centimeters. So these different varieties of wool are there. According to them, the fiber length is there in the different type of the wool. So that is all. We have completed all the types of the natural fibers. We have talked about the plant fibers, and also we have talked about the animal fibers. So both of these we have covered in the part of natural fibers. Now regarding the fibers only, other than the natural ones, what else is there? The fibers are also synthetic fibers, that is artificially they are synthesized or prepared in the industries. So how it is done, that is the part of discussion that we will be doing in the upcoming video. We will talk about artificial or synthetic fibers, how they are produced in the industries or factories, and what are their uses also, that we will see in the upcoming video, or that we will be having in the next upcoming week. So that is all. We will take a halt for this video. If you have any doubts regarding any of the point explained in this video, you can do post your queries in the comment section below. Also you can send me the message directly on the Teams app. Else you can ask to the teacher teaching in the live classes on the Teams app. That is all for now. Thank you everyone.